I met my wife during my final year of university at a charity event our clubs were organizing together. She was a first-year student in a business program, while I was finishing up my engineering degree. We clicked instantly, bonding over our shared love of indie music and hiking. Finding out we grew up just an hour apart made our connection feel even more special. After graduation, I landed a great position at a tech firm back in my hometown, about 2 hours from a university. The distance wasn't ideal, but we made it work. She was dedicated to her studies, aiming to get into a prestigious MBA program, and I admired her drive. I'd visit on weekends when possible, and she'd come home during breaks. I had it all mapped out in my head. Once she finished her degree, we'd move in together, and I'd transfer to our company's office in the city where she planned to pursue her MBA. My parents absolutely loved her, especially my father. Looking back now, I should have noticed how oddly close they became. When she graduated last spring, we rented an apartment together in my hometown while she studied for her business school entrance exams. She took a part-time job at a local coffee shop to keep busy between study sessions. Everything seemed perfect. We had our routine, our plans, our future laid out. Then came that Tuesday afternoon last month. I had forgotten some important presentation files at home and decided to swing by during lunch to grab them. I didn't bother texting her since I was just planning to pop in and out quickly. As I pulled into our apartment complex, I noticed my father's pickup truck in the visitor parking spot. I figured he was probably helping with something around the apartment, as he often offered to do. But when I opened our front door, I found clothes scattered across the floor. My father's work jacket, her blouse, more items leading to our bedroom. I heard noises that made my stomach turn. In that moment, everything went quiet in my head. I took out my phone and started recording, walking down the hallway to our bedroom. I needed proof because I knew no one would believe what I was about to see. I pushed open the door to find my father and my wife together in our bed. The next few minutes were a blur of shouting, my father trying to grab my phone, my wife crying and making excuses. I remember telling them both to be gone by the time I got back from work. I somehow made it back to the office, where my supervisor, Mrs. Chin, immediately noticed something was wrong. After seeing the video, she offered me time off and even a place to stay in her family's guest house. But I decided to stay and finish my presentation. I needed something normal to hold on to while my world was falling apart. That evening, when I returned home, my wife was waiting. She tried to hug me, but I pushed her away. Then came the excuses and the truth. It had started during Christmas when I went to bed early after too many eggnogs. They had been meeting secretly since she moved back to town. She claimed my father had manipulated her with threats of exposing their initial encounter, but she still chose to continue seeing him. I packed her bags while she begged and pleaded, clinging to my legs as I dragged her suitcase to the door. I had to threaten to call the police and show everyone the video before she finally left. Then came the hardest part, calling my mother. She deserved to know the truth, even though it broke my heart to tell her. My father had already made up some story about staying at his brother's place, but once my mother knew the truth, she immediately kicked him out of their house. The following weeks were a blur of emotions. News travels fast in small towns, and rumors started spreading about why my parents separated. My mother, always the dignified one, tried to keep things quiet, but I knew I couldn't let them get away with what they'd done. At first, I thought about keeping the video to myself. I tried to move on, focus on work, pretend everything was normal. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together in our bed. The betrayal ate at me, not just the physical act, but the months of lies. How long had they been planning this? How many times had they met behind my back? One evening, sitting alone in the apartment that now felt like a stranger's space, I made a decision. I couldn't let them walk away without consequences. With a few taps on my phone, I sent the video to our family group chat and to our entire circle of friends. The fallout was immediate. My wife's parents cut her off completely. She lost her scholarship and her plans for business school. Last I heard, she was couch surfing with an old sorority friend, her entire future derailed by her own actions. My father disappeared from town. He lost his job, was kicked out of the family home, and became a persona non grata in our community. My mother, strong as always, held her head high. She didn't want to be seen as a victim, and I admired her strength. Through all of this chaos, an unexpected connection emerged. My wife's older sister, Renee, reached out to me. She'd always been different from her sister, more grounded, more empathetic. She told me how sorry she was, how she had always believed in our relationship and was devastated by what happened. Renee was a psychologist who had recently opened her own practice in the city. We had known each other before, but we'd never been close. Now she became a source of unexpected support. She understood the pain I was going through without trying to minimize it or rush my healing. When she suggested we meet for coffee, I was surprised. Part of me wondered if this was some kind of family manipulation. But something about her genuine concern felt different. Maybe it was how she listened without making excuses for her sister's actions. Maybe it was how she acknowledged the depth of my hurt. I found myself looking forward to our coffee meeting. Not as a replacement for what I'd lost, but as a potential friendship. Someone who understood the complexity of family betrayal. Someone who could see me as more than just the victim of a horrific situation. My mother worried about me. She'd call every few days, checking in, making sure I was eating, that I was taking care of myself. I tried to be strong for her, to show her that her son wasn't broken, just healing. Work became my sanctuary. My colleagues, especially Mrs. Chen, were incredibly supportive. They gave me space when I needed it, but also pulled me into projects that kept my mind occupied. I threw myself into my engineering work, finding a strange comfort in the precision of technical problems. Our first coffee meeting was awkward at first. Renee chose a small cafe tucked away from the main street, probably understanding I wouldn't want to be somewhere too public. She arrived early, already seated with 2 cups, a black coffee for herself and a latte for me, exactly how I liked it. "I'm not here to defend my sister," she said immediately, her directness catching me off guard. What she did was unforgivable. As we talked, I learned more about her. She had studied psychology in Scotland, returning home to start her own private practice. She was different from her sister in every way, thoughtful, grounded, with a quiet strength that drew me in. We didn't talk about dating. Not then. We were just 2 people trying to understand how families could fall apart so quickly. How trust could be shattered in moments. Weeks passed. Our coffee meetings became more frequent. Sometimes we talk about what happened. Sometimes we discuss work, books, our dreams. She never pushed, never tried to make our connection more than it was. My mother noticed the change in me. I was healing slowly but surely. She was proud of how I'd handled everything, how I protected her, how I'd remained professional at work, how I hadn't let the betrayal completely destroy me. The turning point came about 3 months after everything happened. Renee and I were walking through a local park, talking about her work, when she mentioned she was thinking of expanding her practice. I found myself offering advice about business structures, my engineering background proving unexpectedly useful. That's when something shifted. It wasn't a dramatic moment, just a subtle understanding that we connected on a deeper level than either of us expected. Our first actual date wasn't planned. It just happened naturally, dinner after one of our coffee meetings. Then another, and another. I knew people would talk. A small town never forgives or forgets. My wife's family would be furious. My father, wherever he was, would be even more angry. But for the first time in months, I didn't care what anyone thought. Renee understood my pain without trying to fix it. She listened without judgment. She saw me not as a victim, not as a project, but as a person healing and growing. My mother was the first to notice. "You seem different," she told me during one of our weekend dinners. Lighter. And I was. The betrayal hadn't broken me. It had transformed me. As for my wife and father, life had its own way of dealing with them. Her dreams of law school were gone. He was essentially exiled from our community. Their actions had consequences far beyond that single moment I caught them together. But me, I was moving forward. With someone who understood the complexity of family, of love, of healing. Someone who chose to stand beside me, not because of pity, but because of genuine connection. Sometimes life's greatest gifts come from its most unexpected moments. And I was learning to embrace that, one day at a time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button to help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.